Everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Spiritual Asshole. I'm so excited to be joined by Jim Fortin. He is the founder of Mind Authority, a subconscious rewiring expert, and host of the very famous Jim Fortin podcast. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. So you said
Good.
every limitation we got was from our parents. So should we rename Mother's Day and Father's Day to Happy Limitations Day?
You're a comic, right?
I mean, it really makes
Um,
sense. Like, if you look at it from that perspective, you're like, thank you. I love you. Thank you for the limitations.
yeah, I tell people that our parents do the best they can with what they have in any given moment. And it's our parents who mess us up and indoctrinate us in ways that they do that are not helpful. But it's not obviously intentional. Our parents want the best for us, but they indoctrinate us through their past history and their indoctrination about health, wellness, and money. So yeah, it always comes back to parents and society. It's just the world we live in. I don't know if anybody can do any better than what they do in the moment. I think it's important to be conscious of what am I literally, as I'm talking to my child, what am I teaching them through my words about who they are and who they are not, what they can do and what they cannot do.
Got it. And then, so I guess my question is with the parent stuff, how can we go back and look at the beliefs that they gave us and not be super pissed at them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, but I don't work from that place at all. I work from it is what it is. So I
Hmm.
definitely want to fall in line with what you want people to take away from here. I'm all about that. But yet I have no reason to be pissed at my parents. My dad was verbally abusive. It just is who he was.
Right.
So I'm not upset at that because I look at what's my life experience while I'm on the planet. What am I here to learn while I'm on the planet? And no matter how air quote good or bad they were, it's part of my experience. It's part of my learning because I wouldn't be, give you a good example. My dad is very hard on me, but he's very hard because he wanted me to excel, because he wanted me to have, in his terms, a good life. Now, my father was very hard and things had to be done very, very well in my family and school and everything. So I can look at that and say, wow, he was really hard on me. Or I can look at it and say, how did that benefit me positively in my life as opposed to negatively?
Hmm.
So I have zero anger about any of it.
Did you always have zero anger and were you born on a cloud?
Now, I wasn't born on the cloud, and well, not that I know of, and I've never had any anger about it
Wow.
because it's my experience, it's my life experience,
That's
and only for me, it's like even when you say, "Did I ever have any anger about it?" I'm wondering if there's any anger in you about your parents and the way that
yeah.
you were raised, and that the way I look at it, it is what it is. It was what it was. And where I'm working from is, hey, what am I to learn and take from this? And how can I improve upon, how can I take what I've learned and improve myself based upon what I've experienced?
I love that. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And no, I'm not endorsing anger or being resentful, but I do think a lot of us, I think our relationships with our parents is the biggest thing looming over our lives. So the quicker we get to the place that you're in, obviously the more effective our lives can be, because that will just hold you back, right?
Well,
Obviously.
the
Yeah.
easier your life is, and that so many people actually they make life 100 times harder than what it needs to be. So many people walk around life, metaphorically speaking. It's like they've got this big burlap bag on their shoulder, and it's full of rocks. And the rocks is their past history and their life and their father and their mother and this hate and that anger. And I'm like, if I have to walk 10 blocks, excuse me, isn't it a lot easier to walk without that big heavy bag? And
Yeah.
that's the way that I look at life. If I'm going to walk through life, metaphorically speaking, isn't it easy to let go of my past? So, what you're talking about is people holding on to their past. The past doesn't exist, it serves no purpose. So, therefore, other than maybe to have us learn, I just don't go there because I know it's not healthy.
Okay. So how'd you get into this work? How did you discover, hey, maybe there's something going on deeper? Because you got started back when like nobody was doing this. So
Yeah, you mean the subconscious reprogramming
yeah,
part?
yeah.
Yeah. That's only one aspect, and that's actually the smallest aspect of what I do. But the way that I got into it was back in the 90s. In the late 90s, wait, I graduated from in the late 80s. I met somebody when I was out of college that was a three-time All-American All-Star at the University of Texas, a football star, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, he was also a con man, and he went to prison for that a little later. But I lost
Whoa.
everything that I had. And I remember one day hearing on the radio, back when we listened to the radio, that there was a man named John Connolly, who was the former governor of Texas, who went bankrupt at 70. And I said to myself, it's very poignant, I remember this. How do people like John Connolly at the age of 70 come back from bankruptcy? Because I was near that. I'm like, how do people come back? That's when I started studying NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And there's an aspect of it where they teach hypnosis. And I'm like, this works for me. This fits. I want to explore this. So
Yeah.
I became an NLP master practitioner, a trainer. And then when I lived in New York City back in 1999, 2000, I worked at the Hypnosis Institute. And it just all snowballed from there. I mean, I still teach it today. I don't do it, but I teach it. Why? Because it's an effective way to transform your life.
So is that what the modality you've used the most has been NLP this whole time?
Yes and no. It's a variation of many different things, and everyone's different about the modality that I'll approach them with. Do I think my foundational skills in terms of coaching are modality based with NLP? Absolutely. But is it the primary modality? No, because I think the primary modality for my tribe is spirituality.
Yeah.
And I don't mean commercial spirituality. I don't mean what's popular today, but ancient wisdom. So I would say that I don't say it's what I do. I marry the ancient wisdom with modern day brain science, also coupled with coaching people with the neurolinguistics. So it's kind of an amalgamation of different things.
Yeah, and Annie mentioned in her clip that you also use a shaman. How does that work?
Well, it's not that I use a shaman, it's that my brother-in-law is a shaman. And
Oh,
shamans are your mentors. If you're lucky enough to meet a real shaman, that's not the right word. If you're fortunate enough to happen upon a real shaman, there are a lot of people this day and age that say they say they're shamans. They're not shamans. They're people that practice shamanism.
got it.
That would be me saying I'm the Pope, but I'm not the Pope, but I practice Catholicism. That's not the same thing as being the Pope.
Yeah.
So following shamanism is not the same thing as being a shaman. And many shamans spend many years, if not decades, in training with real shamans in the Amazon and southern Mexico, Siberia, and different parts of China and different parts of Africa and the Caribbean. So these beings are very highly evolved beings. Some people would call them spiritual masters. That's my family. I've been around that for my adult family. I've been around that for 30 years. So it's just who I am and what I do.
That's so cool. I feel like that's probably a big reason why you're so zen too, man. It feels correct.
Yeah, that's so Zen is that I've learned in my age and my years and doing the work that I do, there's nothing in life to worry about. There's nothing in life to stress about because one day you're going to be a dead bag of skin anyway. So what's the point of worrying about things that aren't permanent? What's the point of worrying about things that are going to change anyway? Anything
Right.
that is what it is right now can always change later through your conscious attention, your conscious will, or it can change by you leave the planet.
Mm.
So I don't this Zen thing, no one's ever said that before, but that's how I live, as I live in peace of
Yeah.
mind. Because without peace of mind, it's hard to do anything in life.
Oh yeah, that's the most important thing I think you can possibly have for sure. So, do you think that the subconscious, people have said in our field, spirituality, that the subconscious is running 95% of your life? Do you think that's correct?
It doesn't matter what I think. Brain research demonstrates that 95% of the decisions you make are already made before you or for you by your brain, even while you think you're in the process of making the decision.
Okay.
There, there was research done at the Max Planck Institute in Leipzig, Germany in 2006. They put people in what's called fMRI machines, functional magnetic resonance imaging machines, big word.
Yeah.
And they watched the blood flow in the brain as people were making decisions. What they discovered is that the brain already made the decision even while the person thought they were making the decision. Meaning, I'm sitting here just thinking, okay, that sounds really good. Brendan's saying great things. I think I might do it. I think I might not. My brain has already decided what I'm going to do based upon past neural pathways. In addition to that, which is where our habits are, they're related to that and they come from neural pathways, brain based. In addition to that, we do it through habit. We do it just through conscious thought, which is a very small part of us if we're letting the brain run us. So we can make our own decisions. We do have free will, but for the most part, we're driven by the brain.
Wow. So it's easy for me to hear that and think that we might be robots. What would you say to that?
Well, remember what I just said is we are robots, but we have we have the ability to consciously reflect, meaning we can at any point come off from autopilot to not be the robot. Most of us live our lives as a robot. But to give you an example of how that happens in a very banal way, very simple way. So let's say you're driving somewhere and you almost miss your exit because you're in your head. Well, you're not driving. Your subconscious mind is, because consciously you're in your mind thinking about bills or your date or the kids or whatever. So you are in your mind, but yet you get to your location safely. Why? Your subconscious mind, your brain is driving you. So it's on autopilot, but you can always take it off from autopilot by stepping back and making conscious choice in front of you.
Okay. And do you think that you can change your subconscious mind with conscious choice? Or is that more of an energy foundational change you need to make?
No, that's the only way to spot on is the majority of our population in the United States, and it's the world, is the majority of population lives in extreme mediocrity,
Yes.
financial mediocrity, relationship mediocrity. In the United States, the divorce rate, I believe, is 53%. 80% of Americans don't have money, literally. 76% of Americans are literally three paychecks away, I believe, or it's like 54%. But there's large percentages that have no money. We learn this through indoctrination from our parents about what money is, what it's not, how it's hard to make. So we live this way. Most people never recognize that, wait, that's coming from my subconscious paradigms because we do our behavior. What you do is what you are. This is why a smoker smokes. So we learn this as a child. We live it for a lifetime on autopilot. And the only way to change it is to take a step back consciously to your question and say, wait, I want something different. I want to create more. Okay. My identity, which is subconscious, drives me. I've got to change my subconscious identity. So you're spot on, but I explained why you're spot on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I love that. So that's when people can come and see somebody like you and you go through your coaching program. What are some of the things that you do in that program?
It's a 13-week live program, and I'm coaching there every week, as are my coaches. Plus, we coach daily in there,
Oh,
but we
wow.
have live coaching calls throughout the week. Basically, we take people through processes to let go of their garbage, their crap, their limitations, and we actually give them new tools, new ways to be, to reinvent themselves at a subconscious core level. This is why you talk about Annie Letterman talking about me on Joe Rogan, and her life changed dramatically
Yeah.
because Annie did the work and she changed who she was at a core level. When you change who you are at a core subconscious level, everything else changes automatically. Why? Because who you are at a core subconscious level, you do automatically. This is why a smoker smokes. They don't consciously think about it. So I walk them slowly through processes for 13 weeks to get them to let go of the old identity to create a new identity.
That's great. That sounds like something that could be very helpful. Another great thing you said, which I totally agree with, you said that what controls us is our stories and what we tell ourselves.
Right.
Is that why the Kardashians are thriving? Because they're always just like, "Hey, I'm hot."
I don't really know who they are, believe it or not. I don't
Okay.
follow popular culture. I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, I know who they are, but I don't care
That's
about
great,
all that.
man.
But hang on. So, yeah, that's self-image psychology, which comes from the identity. A great example of that would be Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali used to always say, I'm the greatest fighter who ever lived. I'm the greatest fighter who ever lived.
Yep.
When he did that, he reinforced his subconscious identity of That is who I am. Who you are, you don't get what you want in life. You get what you are in life. This is why poor people are, I grew up poor, but my brother's poor now. We grew up together. I'm wealthy. He's poor. And I changed my identity. But whatever identity we learn, we reinforce through our stories, telling stories all the time about that identity. We perpetuate the identity.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. No, I totally understand that. So what do you think is a subconscious block in people's lives versus maybe someone just hasn't taken the right action yet? Like sometimes it's easy to be like, "Oh, I'm procrastinating. It must be a block." But also like you could just, make the video.
Right. But see, what prevents people, I think I know what you're getting at. And what prevents people from making the video, as you say, and I coach a lot of people that are online entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
is it is subconscious, but it's actually fear. And it's fear of what people are people going to judge me?
Yeah.
Do I look okay? Are they going to say bad things about me? So as long as I hide and I don't put myself out there on social media, I'm safe. It's partly, we don't have time for it today, but it's partly survival mechanism related. It's an old vestige of human evolution where we are survival based. We do everything we can to survive, most of us, for the most part. So if I put myself out there, even though it doesn't apply today, oh my God, I could be thrown out of the tribe. Thinking back to caveman times, I could be thrown out of the tribe if I'm not accepted. If I'm thrown out of the tribe, what if I starve? What if I get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger? So therefore, I'm going to be safe. Therefore, I'm not thrown out of the tribe. That's why
Mm,
they don't do it.
I love that. So you deal with, I'm sure, a lot of people's subconscious beliefs. Are there core subconscious beliefs that like almost everybody has, or ones you catch really early on?
Uh, they come back to fears. That's no one's asked me that question before. Are there core subconscious beliefs? Because every belief, every subconscious belief is pretty much the same for a lot of people on the planet. And that is, do I look okay? Are people judging me? But let me back up here. The two biggest beliefs are, am I going to be rejected? Which is why people won't put themselves out, or am I good enough? So those are two very, very core subconscious beliefs, but they're also brain-based beliefs. They're
Yeah.
survival-based as to, am I going to be accepted and am I good enough to be accepted? So, and the way you've asked the question, I've never really heard it that way before, but if you want two universal beliefs that pretty much drive everyone on the planet, those two beliefs right there. And
Yeah.
everyone listening right now, I guarantee you, for example, you're a comedian. You think back to earlier years and you're like, well, could I do this? Should I do it? What happens if I do it? What if I suck? What
Yeah.
if I get booed off the stage? Right. And then we get into fear. And that's what stops a lot of people. They won't go any further because they're in the fear. But notice you might have had, many comics have those fears. Am I going to be judged? And then, am I good enough? These are fears that are pervasive throughout the species. But again, they're survival related.
Mm. So when you work with you, are you guys going back to old memories, or are you mostly just focusing on where you're at right now when you do these exercises?
Both. I don't really care so much about old memories. What I care about is where you are now and how to change where you are now. But for some people, especially people that have had some kind of trauma is a big
Yeah,
buzzword right now.
totally.
They have to release that. You can use self hypnosis to release that, not an opinion, but even like the National Institute of Health has said that PTSD can be alleviated or even basically eradicated using the power of the mind and hypnosis. So it's kind of a combination of both, but more than anything else, I look at where you are, where you want to go, and then I look at who do you need to be subconsciously to get there because your subconscious mind is going to drive you there. Okay, let's create that identity.
Mm.
That's really what we do.
Yeah, you're all about identity shifts, which I love too. Do you think what comes first, changing your subconscious or like your conscious decision to be like, I am this new person now?
Okay, let me understand the question.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, changing your subconscious or I am. Can you explain that? Ask that in a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, for example, I love that you talk about identity shifts. So, in order to say, like, I'm rich, I want to be rich, do I have to make the conscious decision every day to walk around and be like, what would a rich person be? Or do I have to go back to my subconscious and be like, let's rewire some of these beliefs that say I'm not rich?
Good question. And the combination of both. Let me explain this. Let me take this apart for a moment. Look at the amount of people that set their New Year's resolutions for the year. They set their goals. I want to be rich. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's all conscious left brain. That is my analytical left-hand side of the brain thinking. Write this down. I want to be rich. Now, if your subconscious identity um, is actually managed and held by the right-hand side of the brain, subconscious mind, if you at an identity level grew up poor like I did and believe that life is a struggle and you're a poor kid and all these kind of things, then no matter how much you say, for the most part, no matter how much you say, I want to be rich, your subconscious identity is fighting that. Now, let's go a little deeper. This is why we learn through repetition. You've learned how to tie your shoes through repetition. It's brain-based.
Yeah.
This is why we know the proper way to use repetition to reprogram the subconscious mind that automatically filters to the conscious mind. It's kind of what I just said, is I want to create the identity of a wealthy person as opposed to trying to make them wealthy. I'm running a book that's coming out soon,
Great.
but last night I was looking at a chapter and proofing it before it goes to the proofer. And basically, what people do is they try to create goals for things they are not, meaning at an identity level. And as long as you are not that thing at the identity level, it doesn't matter what the goal is because you will never achieve it because we live from the subconscious identity. Two examples in the book. One is Mike Tyson. That dude grew up in Brooklyn, a poor kid, very poor.
Yeah.
He made $300 million and lost it all. You look now, he's got like 10 million. You look at lottery winners, 70% of lottery winners are broke in 5 years. Why? Their identity is broke, broke, broke. Environment changes, they win the money, but we always revert like a rubber band right back to the identity. And the identity makes them do things to lose the money because they're broke again.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I mean. It's hard for me to not be scared of that fact that, oh, no matter what I do, I might end up back in that place. Do you know what?
But
So
see,
what would
that
you?
comes from subconscious identity again. Is
Okay.
that you have a paradigm playing out subconsciously that no matter what I do, I'm going to be back at that place. That subconscious paradigm needs to also be addressed and erased, addressed and erased. There we go. It needs to be eliminated. Let me make it simpler.
Great.
It needs to be eliminated so that when you're working to reprogram yourself or to reprogram the subconscious mind, you're not being sabotaged by, oh, I'm going to fall back in my old ways again.
Yes. Okay. Well, that gave me some hope. That's what we're all about, man. So
Well, hang, wait, back up here. So what you're really saying, if I were coaching you right now, what you're really saying is that you're not sure if you can change because you just told me that gives me hope, which tells me there's a part of you that doesn't have hope that you can change. Now, let's go deeper than that. So as we're looking at that, you have to dig deeper and think about, have you ever changed anything before?
yeah.
Anything? You changed your mind about what you wanted for dinner?
Yeah. Of
Okay,
course.
you can change your mind by changing your attention and changing your conscious choice.
Yes.
So, where you're working from is there's no hope, which indicates I can't change. And that's not true because everyone changes everything every day in some way. Lunch, watch this movie, have this for dinner, go there. I want sex. I don't want sex, whatever it is, we change. And that's the power we have is the power, the number one power that humans have is the power of choice. And most people abuse it.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't make choices. They don't recognize everything is a choice. People listening right now can make the choice to listen to the rest or not. People can follow me, they cannot. We're making choices.
Mm.
So you have to make different choices about what's possible for you, which, by the way, we do all this in the programs. Different choices about what's possible for you. And the foundational belief that's important for you is I can change.
That's great. And I do believe that. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this podcast. But I
Right.
think I also fall into a category of a lot of the clients you've had, because I read their testimonials, of people who've tried a lot of things.
Right.
So that sometimes almost opens a new door of frustration because then I feel like it's my fault or I can't change. Do you know what I mean? So what do you say to those clients?
Two things if I were coaching you again, do you mind? If I
Of
were
course.
just like, okay,
Yeah, of course.
is there's a certain element of you that's coming out right now that makes it about you. I'm not good enough. I'm bad. Something along the lines you've learned many, many years ago, probably in first, second, third, fourth grade,
Yeah,
that no matter what you do, it's not good enough or it's not going to work. You learn that. And if you didn't learn it, you wouldn't have asked me and it wouldn't even be in our conversation together.
100%.
My job is to see the blind spots. Okay. And if I were coaching you, that's the first. And by the way, I wouldn't dig into that unless more people could relate. And a lot of people here can relate. Is a lot of us feel like we're not good enough in some way or we're going to fail. So when we try to, and this is all subconscious. So consciously, when we try to do something new and different and better and improve, we still fail because the foundational belief is, I can't change.
Mm, okay, that was very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of
So
course.
you also said, I love what you said. We didn't choose our name, so what else did we not choose? What are some examples of that? Things that we haven't chosen that we're like, oh, this is just a part of life.
Um, the list is infinite. And let me just pull a couple of things that I know would be appropriate for a podcast, or that I can kind of shorten down a little bit. We didn't choose. Look at the amount of people right now that the reason Donald Trump is so successful. You ever really heard the man talk about like long-term strategy and policy and international relations and long-term economic policy and all those kind of things? The man is not a wise man. And I'm going here for a reason, okay? He literally is mobilizing his tribe, and I'm not a Democrat or Republican. Let me just say that for the record. I'm neither. But what he's doing is he's mobilizing his tribe by playing to their identity, and we all buy our identity. So,
Mm,
what is he doing, and how is he playing to the identity of his tribe? Right?
yeah.
Make America great again. Now, listen to that psychologically. If I'm making America great again, that presupposes that America is already bad. And if I'm a patriotic American, I don't want a bad America. I want a great America. That guy's talking about a great America. Hot damn, let me sign up. I want to follow that guy. That's what we do. And I have no idea why I'm telling you this. It's all about identity, but I'm answering your question somewhere, but I forgot where I was going.
No, man, it's really good. No, it was just a question about things that we
Oh,
have
yeah,
just
sorry,
agreed
sorry.
to.
So we're
Yeah.
culturalized with politics, with nationalism, with religion, with money. Money's a big one. Money is probably the biggest one with people. I grew up freaking poor. I mean, we didn't have heat in the winter sometimes. I mean, we were working class, working class, working class. Today, I'm in the top 1/10 of 1% of yearly income earners in the United States. How did I go from dead ass broke to what a lot of people would call high net worth? I had to change the identity. But we're programmed about what money is and how hard money is to make. Best example for you is you're a comedian. What are your overall overarching beliefs about how successful you're going to be as a comedian? You've learned all of those limitations from society saying, you can't do that. That's hard. Only a small amount of people, Brendan, really, really make it. You shouldn't consider that. You got family to think of. You got health to think of. You shouldn't consider that. The world lives in financial mediocrity because we learn it.
As soon as you said that, I pictured all the times I got paid in drink tickets, and I was like, yeah, that was some programming.
Yeah, exactly. It's all programming. And it all comes down to what you accept for yourself, which is also programming. I've been there. Guy, everyone listening, I've been there. Is that when we accept less for ourselves than our value, which is something I talk about in my podcast a lot and in
Yeah.
the programs, you have to value your value. Now, I understand you're building your business. So you're wanting to create the following, or you were building your business and you want to create the following. That's why you do it and you get paid in drinks. 100 years ago, you would have gotten paid in chickens. Okay. So I understand that. But there comes a point where This shit ain't free anymore. You want it, you got to pay for it because I value my value. I
Yes.
know what I bring. I would love to do the transformational coaching program. We call it TCP. I would love to do it free. It's taken me decades to learn how to do this. Why would I give it away free, even though I want to help everyone that I possibly can? If I did that, I place no value on my value. If I place no value on my value, how much value do you place on my value? None.
Yes. No, I mean, that's 100% true. So that's great. So you said this awesome thing. You said the universe doesn't test you, it reflects you.
Right.
What if someone throws up on you? Is that the universe throwing up on me? Because that's happened recently.
It could be a metaphor of the universe. Yeah, I look at everything as that's pretty nasty, by the
It
way.
did happen. It's a real
And what
story.
was her name and what date was that on, and how much wine or alcohol did
I
you put
will
in
not
her?
reveal the details.
Okay, so come on, I get it. No, the first thing that came to mind when you said that was the 40-year-old virgin when they're in the car and she throws up on him
Oh
and
my
goes, "That car
God.
came out of nowhere, or
Yes.
came like a bat out of hell." But I do love humor and comedy, so a lot. I mean, a lot. But the way that I look at it is everything that happens in my life happens for a reason,
Yeah.
for a learning. And I look at the metaphor, the way I look at it, if somebody throws up on me next to me, number one is I have to accept responsibility because I'm the one who chose to sit there or be there or whatever it is. So I own that. Now, what I don't own is they threw up on me. That's pretty freaking nasty. That's gross, by the way. Unless you're into that kind of thing, which maybe some people are, it's not my thing. Okay. Hey, this day and age, who knows?
2023, baby. Yeah.
Who knows? But not my thing. So the way I look at it is what's this here to teach me? What did I do to co-facilitate the cause of this? Because every cause has an effect. The effect is the vomit on you. What caused it? It could be the drinks, but you're there part of the equation. And I'm always looking at what part of the equation am I playing and what can I learn from that?
That's awesome. So yeah, that's what I think some of the key to your zenness is, if I could quietly judge you, is it seems
Sure.
like you don't see things as bad or good. Is that correct? Do you ever see anything as bad?
Yeah, I'm not getting laid. No, I'm kidding. I'm married
Okay,
for a
there it
lot of
is.
years, but
There it
even that,
is.
no, I'm kidding. Uh, hopefully people can relate and have a sense of humor
Oh,
that are listening, and I'm sure they are.
of course, of course.
But the way that I look at life overall, life is what it is. I'm the one that charges it either bad or good with where I choose to hold my thinking. Let
Yeah.
me give you a good example. I'm building a house. I live in Sedona, Arizona.
Awesome.
The contract said 1 year. Very reputable contractor, but he didn't live in Sedona for years prior to building. He just came back. We are on month number 28, and I
Uh,
can't get him out of my house. And there's so many things not done in my house, literally. And I look at this, and it really has been very challenging. Seriously,
yeah, I bet.
living without, I mean, basic things in the house. Like even in my office bathroom, there's cabinetry missing. In the kitchen, there's still cabinetry missing. We're wrapping up 27 or 28 months later. This house it was very pricey home. This man made a lot of money off from me. And part of me is like, this is bad. This really freaking sucks.
Yeah,
The other part is, who gets to live like this? I mean, I live on 2.5 acres overlooking all of Sedona, one of the most beautiful places in the world.
it's amazing.
I live bordering federal land. I have a very sizable luxury home. Who gets to live like this? 1% of the population or less actually lives like this. So is it good? Yes. Is it bad? Yes. But you know what? It's neither. It is what it is. And I'm the one who determines good or bad. I just don't go there.
So you catch yourself in those moments, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna punch this contractor. I thought about it.
Well, that'd be assault and that'd probably take longer to get finished. But the way that I look at it is, hey, part of me created this. I mean, what part of me? Because, for example, I could have made the choice to not build and to buy a home, maybe doing some light refurbishing or something.
Yeah.
But I look at, okay, Jim, I've asked myself, what gym did you get into? And that you wanted a house bordering federal land. National Forest is 100 feet out my door, as are the hiking trails. I
Awesome.
got that. I got 2.5 acres. I overlook all of Sedona. I got the view. People walk in and are like, wow, this view is a multi-million-dollar view. I'm like, no shit. Yeah, it is. And so I look at this. hey, I played a role in the decision to have this house, which has been a shitstorm to get finished up. How can I blame him, even though he's not doing his things, when I made part of the decision to be here?
Okay, I love that. So, just a couple more questions. Any practical tips we can give people, things we can do every day to like, slowly release and change our subconscious identity? Anything that you do? What's a typical day like for you, also, by the way?
People ask that all the time, and my typical days are pretty boring. So people are like, why don't you have your life on Instagram? Like my social media team was like, people want to see how you live. And I'm kind of like, what's the big deal? It's a house. But that's
It's
kind
a
of my
weird,
thing.
yeah, it's a weird time, man. People want to see how you
Yeah,
live. It's fine. People just want to
it's not
spy on
my
you.
thing. I don't really, I do live in a probably one of the nicest homes in Sedona for real. Doesn't define me as a person. It doesn't make me a better guy. It doesn't make me an asshole. It doesn't make me a nice guy. It just is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
And here's the number one thing we can do: pay attention to when we're feeling bad. Because when we're feeling bad, that's coming subconsciously and we're putting a value on it. And then what
Mm,
we do, here's
right.
what we don't do. Okay, I feel bad. How do I change this? What we do is, I feel bad. Oh no, I feel bad. I feel bad. I feel bad because of XYZ, because you did this, you did that, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I
Yeah.
ain't got any freaking money in my bank account. I ain't gotten laid in 2 months. I feel bad. I feel bad. So we get into the self talk. Okay, we get into the self talk, and the self talk perpetuates the identity. So we want to actually consciously move our self talk to the identity that we want.
Mm,
And it's a little more sophisticated than that, but that's what people talk about: affirmations, meaning you're affirming things. But the way that you have to do it is sit down, get quiet, or I'm just going to share a simple way. Sit
yeah.
down. Well, I'll share a simpler way. The way that I work on myself with things like this in the morning, because where I want to live from in my life is gratitude. In the morning, I'm not kidding. If you can see in my brain and look at brain maps, this is what I do. In the morning, the first thing I do when I wake up is I say, I'm grateful for this day today. Thank you for letting me wake up. At lunchtime, I do the same thing. I give gratitude all day long, even
That's great.
gratitude driving my car. I mean, I've got a car. A lot of people don't have a car, right? So I'm mindful of being grateful. And at night, the last thing before I do, before I go to sleep, is I say, thank you for this day today. No matter how shitty it's been, and people will identify it as shitty or good, the fact that I'm on the planet means I have an opportunity to have an even better day tomorrow. So we have to be careful of what we say to ourselves, because what we say to ourselves programs ourselves. We become programmed by what we hear from our parents as a kid, and then we perpetuate that program throughout a lifetime. Man, it's a self-talk.
Mm. All right, I love that. And then one more. I'm gonna play a quick game. So you also said this really great thing about how long does change happen? How long can it take? Because I do think that my subconscious might have a thing where it's like, well, it's going to be a long time. But I'm sure
Right.
you've seen instant, insane transformation. I watched James Wedmore's testimonial in three
Yeah.
months. He whatever tripled his net worth or his income for his business. Like, yeah, you've seen it
Five times his net worth. He went
five
from 2
times.
million to nine, like 9.8 million in 18 months working with me.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I tackle deep, I don't do therapy, but I tackle deep seated limitations in people that actually keep them from getting what they want. Now, how long? Okay. So you hear the old phrase, it takes 21 days to change a habit. That is not true.
Yeah.
Research demonstrates that to habituate a new behavior, like let's say I do drink water every morning. To make this habitual where I don't have to think about it, I would have to do this for 67 days in a row. At 67 days is when something starts to become completely subconscious and automatic.
Cool.
But a caveat here: when we were young, back in our 20s, my buddy Brandon, or actually, who was it? Brad back then. We were roommates, and Brad would get drunk every day. And his girlfriend said, Brad, if you get drunk again, and they were engaged, if you get drunk again, I'm leaving you. And the very next day, Brad was a non-drinker. So
Wow.
what I'm saying here is the motivation. Brad had the motivation to become a non-drinker because his fiance was going to leave him. So what matters, the brain learns very quickly. The brain's what's called the one trial learner. You put your hand on a hot stove, you don't have to do it a long time to figure out it's hot. You
Yeah,
don't do it again. So we can learn very quickly, but the amount of time that it takes is contingent upon the motivation we have to create the habit.
I
Does that
love
make
that.
sense?
That
So
makes
every
tons.
person is different.
Yeah, and like I want to be open to the idea that it could be because I've done a lot of quote work, so I think I don't need to keep saying it's going to be
But
a
hang
long.
on, and we can talk a little longer if you want. It's up to you. But here's the thing. This is why I think it serves its place. But I was talking to a friend of mine that is a PhD and a therapist, and I asked her about therapy, and she's a coach now. And I said, "How come you don't do therapy?" And her exact words were to me, "That shit doesn't work." Now, what I mean by that, for everyone listening, it can help you analytically discern things, problem solve in different ways, gather more perspective or whatever. But my problem with therapy, you go to therapy and you talk about what's wrong with you. You perpetuate the link to the therapy by reinforcing the identity of a person who has something wrong with them in therapy. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
1000%,
So
man.
we can change very, very quickly, again, but based upon the motivation. And it seems to be society wide, it takes a long time to change. The reason it takes a long time to change, which is what we do something differently in TCP, the reason it takes a long time to change is because people don't know how to change. You have to change in the way your brain works, or you ain't going to get any change.
Mm,
Why? Because your brain's going to continue to drive the show. You have to work with your brain, know how your habits are created brain based, know how your identity is created brain based, and work with that and change in a way that your brain learns.
mm,
Change becomes very easy and very quick when you do that.
mm. I love that. All right, well, I like to close by playing a game. It's called Spiritual or Asshole, where I say some things and you tell me if it's spiritual or asshole. Are you down?
I'm afraid of my answers, but yeah, go ahead.
You're gonna do great. All
Okay.
right, because I know you have a dog. Spiritual or asshole? Talking through your dog to other people when you first meet them on the street, like, "Oh, hey, yeah, this is Willoughby. He was up all night because he's newly single and he's worried he has commitment issues."
What the hell did you just say?
You've seen this happen. Come on, you've seen this happen. People always talk through their
Oh, talk
dogs.
through their dog. Okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
if you're like talking about channeling through your dog or if
No,
it gets
no, no, no.
weird.
Like people are always like, "Oh, he's nervous." I'm like, "Is he nervous or are you nervous?"
They're nervous, but they're using your dog as a metaphor to represent what they're going through. So is it
Exactly.
spiritual or asshole? I
Yes.
don't know what your definition of asshole or spiritual is, but I would say it's not being transparent and authentic. Asshole.
Okay. Spiritual or asshole, saying everything is not happening to me, but it's happening for me. But then when I flew Spirit Airlines, it's okay to say this is happening to me.
Asshole in denial.
Spiritual or asshole, people do this, saying, "No, I promise I will break this habit in the new year." People are starting to do this now.
Asshole.
Spiritual or asshole, performing self hypnosis to a trip to your in law's house and saying, "It's cool, I'm just pretending I'm anywhere else."
That's good mental health. But I'm trying to keep track of your definitions here, our understanding of
It's
spiritual.
whatever you think. It's whatever you think, man. Very
These
loose.
all these scenarios I have no problem with because I understand that I have to manage my thinking, but I want to keep playing the game here, even though
Okay.
I kind of suck at it apparently.
No, you're
All right,
killing
let's
it.
just pick
You're
spiritual.
yeah, that's great. It's that easy. All right, spiritual asshole, calling your childhood home the limiting belief factory.
Both spiritual and asshole, because again, of what we just covered, it's both.
Okay, this one's good. Spiritual or asshole, shaman for other things instead of plant medicine or mysticism. So a shaman for alcohol, like, "Hi, this is Derek. He's my White Claw shaman."
I don't know that I followed the question. I'm not stupid, trust me. I don't think I'm stupid. I might be stupid. I don't know.
You're
But
incredibly smart. So you know how
okay.
there's like a shaman for
Yeah.
everything? There's like a shaman for like plant medicine or like, but you never see a shaman for alcohol. Like so like a guy's just hanging out and he's like, "Hey, I'm a shaman."
Asshole. Asshole.
All
They're
right,
commercializing.
yeah, exactly. All right, last question I ask everybody. If you could tell people one thing to tell themselves all day long, what would it be?
I love myself.
That was so quick.
I love myself. Your self-love, your self-worth is the foundation of everything in your life. It's the foundation of your money because your money is a reflection of your identity. It's the foundation of your relationships because your identity is the foundation of the relationship.
100%.
And it's the foundation of your health because your health is a reflection of identity. Everything comes back to the value we place on ourselves. 3 words every morning in the mirror, 10 times. I love myself.
Mm, this was
Spiritual.
fantastic.
Otherwise, spiritual.
Spiritual,
No.
spiritual. Can you
And
tell
you're an
people?
asshole if you don't do it.
Can you tell people where to find you on find all your great stuff?
That's an asshole question. No, I'm kidding. JimFortin.com. Just simple JimFortin.com or my podcast, JimFortin.com. It's in the top 1/10 of 1% downloaded episodes on iTunes. Very, very highly trafficked podcast. If they want more on spirituality, brain-based changing habits, identity, I talk a whole lot about identity, or just my website, JimFortin.com, and go freaking download something. We'll have you on the list, and I'm gonna paper you with email. Not
It
really,
is,
we don't do that.
and you're
But
gonna start loving yourself more. Hell yeah.
that's vital. Seriously, we can joke all day long, and I love humor, and I'm trying to reconcile the humor and the spirituality. I'm okay with that, but it's vital. We have to value ourselves because if you don't value yourself, other people aren't going to value you. Why? Because they're going to read your body language subconsciously and find that you literally are just a person of low value, and they don't think that consciously, but they avoid you. And when they
Mm.
avoid you because they don't want to be around you and they don't know why they're that way, that further reinforces your thought of I'm of no value and people don't like me, as an example. Self-love is the foundation of our life.
I think we ended very strong here, Jim. This was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Glad I could be here. Thank you everyone listening, and thank you for having me, Brendan.